Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Crypto Leviathan podcast. I'm your host, Dalivor, and today we have another guest on. She is the CEO of Document GPS. Did I get that right?
Shoutism, but the company produced the product called Document GPS.
Damn it, I wasn't able to get it right. But regardless, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Chao Chereng-Shorland. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Shoutism. So Shoutism is a blockchain-based Web3 smart document SaaS company, and we provide the SaaS products to enterprises, organizations like governments, healthcare, and legal financial services. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'll break down what we're talking about today. So she has created a innovative product which allows, documents to be stored on the blockchain. And this is one of the cool uses, I think, in crypto where you can kind of, innovatively store documents. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How you actually utilize the blockchain to actually be able to store these documents?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to kind of make it really clear. Our technology is blockchain based, but it's not cryptocurrency. So it's quite different from cryptocurrency. We're not really in the cryptocurrency space, but we use the blockchain technology itself, really enabling business value, business outcome. So how we actually utilize that technology, and one of the things what happened was back in like 2017, 2018, when we first started the company, and we actually realized that the documents and contracts and the records all very much fragmented. It's really a lot of problems on the market. There's so much the data duplication. People don't have the true ownership of their own IP, own content, and people actually sharing and replicate other people's content, then change some information and really create a lot of even disinformation. So what actually we decided to do is truly innovate in the smart document space and making documents very intelligent and also trackable and have a auditability and ownership. So interestingly, we already started embarking on the blockchain technology at that point of time. And then what we actually realized is once we leverage the blockchain technology to tokenize documents and all those functionalities I just talked about all open up, it's truly creating a new generation, a new species of documents. So that's really how we started on this journey and then really leveraging the tokenization technique, which is the one we patented, and turn the documents into a hashed, so you actually can assign the hash, assign the ownership, and then you can use the hash ID and the token ID to track the documents across the network. So really to enhance the functionalities of documents.
That's amazing. So my question now is you put this data on the blockchain, the documents. How do you actually make it secure? How do you prevent, me from going on this blockchain and actually accessing these documents?
Yeah, so basically the blockchain infrastructure and technology, obviously it's not a centralized, there's everything like stored in the same place. So when hacker comes in, they can just open the door and help themselves. It's almost they go from the front door of your house and everything that's in the house they can take. So the way the blockchain actually really architect is to the data actually gets distributed out. So a lot of, in a lot of senses, it's like a decentralized, and then some are distributed, so operating through different multi nodes. So once you have data gets distributed, it's extremely hard for hackers to hack because it's no longer everything together. So you could have some piece of information sitting in your bathroom, some in a neighbor's house, some could be down the street in a supermarket. That's just kind of example. So in that way, there's no way for them to find the data so easily. So that's a layer of protection we are delivering to organizations, really giving them that protection they actually don't have before.
That's very interesting. And the scope of this blockchain, are all the companies sharing the same blockchain, or is it a specific blockchain for each like entity? How does that work?
Yeah, so the main environment we have is the multi-tenant. So it is a one the blockchain is called Hyperledger Fabric. So we build on the enterprise blockchain called Hyperledger Fabric, but utilize different data center and also the multi nodes. But when a enterprise actually require a single tenant. So they, for example, some banks or large legal companies or even government, they need their own environment, and we can deploy that into the environment as well. So they can actually operate, and we can say hold one node, and they can hold another one. They have a third party hold another one. So the whole purpose is really creating the trust. So making sure those organization data they own, we don't own any of those data. So they purely all this, and they get access, they own the data, and they have the trust.
So one of the big problems right now, like you mentioned, is data duplication, right? So in order to
Yeah.
like get your message or document across the world, it's duplicated thousands, maybe tens of thousands of times. So how do you solve this issue? How does your solution actually make it more efficient? And does it sacrifice performance to make this more efficient?
That's actually such a good question because our principle is really called single source of truth. And we even trademarked that mark. So what single source of truth means is every piece of content, every document you create, it creates a single source of truth document token. Then when you share with other people, you have full control over that because now the token allows the owner or the sender or originator controls this whole content. And when you share, you actually invite everyone to look at that original token instead of letting them download or further share your content. So in that way, when you have, say, for example, one article, and the current models, you send it out to 1,000 followers, and each one of them can download or share. So you create actually 1,000 copies or even more. But in our case, it reduced all the way down to one copy only. So that actually saves the environmental impact as well. So in a way, we call ourselves green tech because we truly solved a very major sustainability issue by reducing the data to the very minimum. So if, in terms of performance, no, it doesn't sacrifice performance at all. It actually instead, quite opposite, and it really improves the performance because you really only have such a limited data now to store, and then also the cybersecurity and improvement also happen because you get much less data to be available to be hacked.
Interesting. So now shifting gears a little bit, talking more about the nitty-gritty of this technology. If is this only like for small documents? Like for example, obviously I don't know how sustainable it would be to, upload, for example, this podcast to your
Yeah.
platform or upload a large length video. Is there size restrictions right now?
So we actually cater for 6 major types of documents at the moment, and with a maximum 65 meg per file, but we're soon to increase to 100 meg. This limit is really controlled by our company. It's not like it's more a just a level we believe most files fit in that size. So the 6 files I'm talking about Word document, Excel, PDF, PowerPoint, PNG, and the JPEG. So those are the 6 types. Then this year we're going to introduce video as well. So the video tokenization allow like YouTubers and video companies taking videos also have the ownership.
Do you foresee any difficulties with like larger data versus, storing like smaller data that you're doing right now?
So I do need to clarify something. So those large data, they don't actually go on blockchain. So they are off chain, but we actually leverage the hash to link them into blockchain. So to integrate. So you still achieve the immutability, security, and ownership, auditability. But the data, sorry, those large files themselves don't really reside inside the blockchain. And I need to give you a reason for that. So one is for that kind of performance, right? But according to a lot of legislations, and you actually really not allowed to store, say, medical records, some accounting kind of tax records. If you actually store on the like a public blockchain, and you have so many validators, really so many nodes, and all of a sudden all these records become permanent. You cannot even remove them. And that actually is a big no-no. So what the solution we provide is actually really enterprise blockchain. So enterprise blockchain is for companies, organizations to achieve all those blockchain benefits, yet those data is not locked in like this. So hopefully that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. That opens up another type of question. So, is it possible then to delete on your blockchain? Let's say I uploaded a picture I didn't want to. Is it possible? Can I remove it after? Is that your technology allow you to do that?
Yeah, so actually, it's kind of a yes and a no. Let me just give you an example. So let's say, accounting firm use our technology. So they have the retention policy, data retention policy, say 7 years or 10 years. That actually is really, it's mandated. It's not like someone can, change. So during that period of retention, and we make sure all those data is immutable, so you cannot delete, you cannot alter, because everything becomes evidence, becomes for the auditing purpose. But once the data actually now expire, and you need to purge them, and what will happen is all the node operators can handshake, so you do need to have that kind of setup. And so you actually now agree, and everyone actually almost signed, yeah, this actually data now is expired and need to purge. So in that way, the companies do not need to worry the data is permanently on blockchain. So it's kind of going to be forever, because once everything is synced, you can remove those data. So, but typically it's really depending on the business rule and setup. Yeah, before the data can be purged, it's definitely much more difficult than the normal traditional database.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering because like right now in the internet, it's like when you publish something, it's there forever. You can't really get rid of it.
Oh,
On
it's private though. No one will see that. It just you can actually just basically take them off. It's no one's going to see that. It's just for that to be completely purged, and you have to wait. Yeah.
so let me ask this question. So when it is purged, I can't have a copy of it on my machine, right? Or I can have a copy of it. It just won't exist on the blockchain anymore.
Yeah, you can keep a copy if you already downloaded, or you actually already kept a copy and you already have that. It's actually still on, there's a hash on blockchain, but the data itself can be removed.
Got it. So it basically, if you try to access it, it'll say, "Oh, there's nothing here anymore," pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. So obviously, like this solution is meant for, companies who have data currently stored on databases, trying to move it over to your blockchain. I imagine that's like the business model here. What happens in cases where, let's say, I have my blockchain in my company and I acquire another company and they also have this sort of blockchain? How do I migrate their data onto mine? Is that even possible right now?
So this actually requires a bit of explanation about our business model. So what we provide is actually business solutions, so application layer. And the data storage and the infrastructure part is really secondary for us. So even though we leverage blockchain technology, but the whole goal is really for companies leverage our very easy to use, user-friendly application to be able to do their secure file transfer and document management, and in a very fun way, very secure way. So when that actually is the goal, and the underlying infrastructure is more a enabler, then whatever that the blockchain actually eventually say there are other blockchain actually coexist, as a merger and acquisition or some other innovation. It doesn't really matter, because it's just like a company. For example, you sit on a SQL database and sit on another database, and a lot of organizations operate on multi kind of database. So the blockchain, enterprise blockchain, could be the same. You can actually coexist.
Oh, that's perfect because I always ask that because I know the most expensive thing whenever you acquire companies is how do we get the data to, mix in together what we currently have. So that's good that
Yeah,
the solution exists there.
Yeah, and also we do create API. If you actually want another system to be integrated with document GPS, or you want to just plug in into your email system, and we have pre-built plugin, so very easy, like less than 5 minutes, you can install the plugin, the extension, and immediately your company can use that. So it's like within 5 minutes, your whole organization can upgrade to Web3.
I was actually thinking about this as well when you kind of talked previously. Um, is it possible to host websites internally on your blockchain right now? You know, because like internal websites for companies, everyone knows they have them. Is that possible right now, or is that something you're thinking of doing?
We actually I would say 3 years ago, we had that thought, and what we call is document of things and the contract of things, and to make all the content, the page, even the publishing of your website, everything's connected. But now our business model very firmly is really focusing on our anchor product, document GPS. Through the document GPS, and we actually going to build more and more plugins and more integration points, and also through mobile technology. And we want a lot of companies be able to really leverage this our core platform, and be able to plug in any system very easy. So when it comes to that internal website, even our technology definitely have the capability to turn into this kind of solutions, but that's not really our focus at the moment.
I see. That totally makes sense. So I'm just going to run through an example right now, and you can tell me how it would work. So let's say like I have a document on my blockchain and I share the link, hash, whatever it is to you. Name me the steps that actually go through, you know, like how do I know you accessed it? How do I know when you accessed it? What's going on?
Yeah, so the most popular product, the document GPS, is actually really used as an email extension. So the email extension, when you compose a new email or you reply email, and you typically will see this the black color paperclip. So that's an old paperclip you attach a document. So once you attach a document, then after you send out, you don't know who actually see this document, who downloaded, who shared, forwarded. So now all what you need to do is there is another paper clip, and which is our red orange color one called document GPS sitting next to that black the paper clip. You just click on this red orange color one. And as soon as you click on that, you still can attach your document as usual, but it immediately encrypt and tokenize. And another major feature is the viewers cannot download, cannot share. That's the default setting. But of course, if you really want them to download or share, you can do that. You can turn the switch on. So after you send out, just in the normal way, like almost like a sending your attachment. Now you can go into the document GPS, the same, the paperclip. You go in there. There's a dashboard showing you what happened with your document. So you will see who has downloaded, who shared with who, and then you can track like all the events. So it's really cool, and it's very entertaining as well. So you see all the events happen, and then what you can do is you can revoke people's access. Oh no, 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 I don't want this person to have it. So you can revoke, and then you can also edit people's rights. So for example, if I was sending to my accountant and he just somehow forwarded it to someone else because I allow him to share, and then I don't want that person, or at least I don't want that person to have a download the rights, so I can immediately switch off or revoke the access. So this whole the application is really built on you have full control from beginning to end. And then on the recipient side is also very interesting. So you will have all the grayed out icons if you can't do something. But if you're enabled, then you will see that all the icons enabled. So you can start play around with things and share with other people right inside of your viewer, actually. So which is also amazing. Any other application has this kind of feature. And so from the workflow side, it's literally you don't change anything. You just change a different paperclip to click on. So it's super simple.
That's awesome. So how does that actually work? Like controlling people's access? Is that data also stored on the blockchain? Who actually has access to it, or is that like your layer where you like read from the blockchain?
Yeah, it's basically it's the same token. So people just all looking at your same token, but the permission level is all set. Of course, the participants or the recipients all attached to the token, and then you will have a metadata layer, user a permission layer, and then your the actual content. So actual content is tokenized, and then you have the different the metadata and the user permission that's not like on blockchain.
That's great. So, for example, if I share, a picture of my cat with you, and you try to share with your friend, it's like, I don't want you to share with your friend. I just block that friend,
You
right?
can block exactly. And another thing that's really cool about your cat is if you use your mobile phone, you take a photo, and the your cat doesn't go on your photo album. It immediately gets encrypted and tokenized inside our application. So you now have a total security and privacy. Because a lot of times, I'm not sure whether you notice, it pops up, say, oh, a year ago, Chow, you were here buying these clothes, going to this restaurant. And it's really scary because to me, why my life being kind of like a really spied on, and everyone knows what I've been doing, is because your mobile phone provider knows all your photos, all your movements. But now no one sees. So it's just you. You totally control your photos and your digital objects. So that application, if you're not thinking about your cat, you probably don't worry about your cat being seen by Apple or Google or whatever. But if you think about this is a merger and acquisition deal, this is a evidence like the insurance company, they taking the flooding or taking some evidence, or the police department investigating some crime thing, and the government probably have some like the highly confidential information. Once they take a photo, the first thing they feel scared about is all the big companies knowing what they've been taking. But in this app with the document GPS mobile app, you take a photo, and all these organizations now have total privacy and security. They know no one can see them except themselves, and then they can control the journey of their photos as well.
Very interesting. So obviously this has business applications, but I think we just discussed an example where it could apply personally. Because I think right now with social media and everything, it's like I don't want, for example, everyone to see my data. I know Instagram has some things where you can have like a close friends list, but that still doesn't protect my privacy fully. Do you foresee this having like mainstream applications, or are you just focusing right now on enterprise 'cause that's easier?
It is a mainstream application, even though our marketing and sales efforts are really focusing on enterprise. But I can tell you a lot of individuals actually using our application as well, because it's truly a very easy to use, and anyone can just download it. Like within a minute, you're already on document GPS. And the mobile app is actually releasing. We're submitting the final version the end of this week. So hopefully it will be available on Apple Store really soon. And you can download, and you can go to start, using that integrate with your email, and or you can start taking photos just for yourself. So the application is really very broad, and I'm very confident it's a truly a most both B and C product.
That's I totally agree with you. I would go as far as to say like it's needed now more than ever because of all the privacy concerns that are going on, right? All the
Yeah,
Facebook, like when you read about what Facebook does with data, it's kind of like I want to be able to control what you have access to. I don't want you to know everything about my life. The scariest thing for,
exactly.
the scariest thing for me was I remember one day it's like Google's like, "Oh, I suggest to take this route for your trip." It's like, "How do you know I was going here?"
I know. This is like a really, really scary stuff, and also the technology is so advanced. So be able to really shelter those your own privacy is just becoming so important. And I actually found even myself, right, ever since we have this product, every time there's a like a requirement for my tax return, for my social security number, my driver's license, I always try to do that inside document GPS. And the same as my salespeople, they feel like wow, how could the people now sending these things completely unprotected? and everyone knows your business somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. When that app's out, it's probably gonna be out before the show is live. So send us the link to that app that you can download. I'll put it in the description for the podcast. That'd be great.
Yeah.
So I did read a little bit, and it said that Vatican manuscripts use this technology right now. How do they use it, and can you explain to me like how they're actually, protecting their data this way?
Yeah, so we actually struck a partnership with a NGO, the not-for-profit called Humanity 2.0. So that's the kind of NGO created by the Vatican. And then, so through this partnership, we actually visited Pontifical Orientale Institute, so which is the institute, the university holds all the ancient manuscripts for Eastern Christianity. So like from the religion from Russia to Ukraine to the Middle East, India, all the way to Ethiopia. So this whole region was really covered by the history. All the collections were, inside of this library. So the library is so well built, and we actually visited the rector, Father Nazar. He showed us the library, and everything's like a temperature control, color, and everything is so well built. But one of the things is you can never stop natural disaster or other things happening. There is such a need for those manuscripts to be digitized. But once it's digitized, and imagine this such a rare collection, is like only one copy in the world. The worst scenarios is all become publicly available all over the place. And then history can be manipulated and things can change. So when we actually presented our solution, which is document tokenization, so once we actually tokenize all these manuscripts after they get scanned, and now the Pontifical Oriental Institute has full control over those manuscripts. So they own them because there's a hash actually belong to them, and there's a token ID. So they can now control other people's view of those books, because they can go out to say, no, you cannot download, you cannot share. I'm fully in charge of tracking your usage. And so in that way, they just feel very assured. They even through the technology digitization, and it's the data is not going to be compromised.
That's very interesting how they're actually, using technology. You would think like the Vatican wouldn't be, utilizing the latest technology. You think they're stuck in their ways, but now you just described they seem to be very modern, actually.
Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised. The people very progressive inside of the Vatican, and they truly see the technology become very powerful and also could be helpful, to them instead of everything's like we don't want anything to be on, the technology. So yeah, I think definitely you see more and more technology advancement, yeah, within the Vatican.
Um, did you learn any secrets from the Vatican?
I learned a few, but it's probably better not to say anything.
I'm just kidding. Uh,
Yeah,
I recently watched, the Da Vinci Code. That's why I was asking. I'm like, oh, what
yeah.
secrets do they have?
I know. There are just so many, different libraries, and a lot of such a rich, collection of history, human knowledge, religion. It's just such a almost like the knowledge base for the world. So it's very fascinating.
Yeah, they probably know things that or have stuff in manuscripts that are probably top secret from like, hundreds of years ago that people have no idea about.
Yeah. Yeah, probably one I can share. I don't think they would mind at all. Is some books that's like in so many languages. Even one page you can have five different languages. It's just on one page. So imagine that eventually we have the OCR, that kind of the search and all those kind of features. Yeah, it's going to be really very interesting and challenging at the same time.
Could you imagine reading a book? It's like each paragraph is like a different language.
It's
It's
a
like
different language.
I have no
I
idea what,
know.
what they're saying anymore, right?
I know. I know.
That's very interesting. So let's shift now the conversation to this company. Is this your first kind of business starting off? Like, how have you progressed as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so this is myself is the first startup. And before I started this business, and I actually was working as an enterprise architect, back in Australia. So I've spent about 30 years in Australia. And so over there, I was leading a lot of very large programs and like a transformation programs or implementing end-to-end solutions as a chief architect, a lead architect. So during my years of being an architect, I have really noticed more and more, and a lot of big ERP system and old kind of like big giant kind of technology. It's just really difficult to implement, difficult to integrate, difficult to use, and the user experience is just terrible, horrible actually. So I just kept thinking, oh my God, I got so many good ideas. Why I don't do something myself? And I love to do something really cool, really like an improved user experience. And using technology shouldn't be a pain in the neck, especially in a corporate world. And it should be really easy and, kind of anything just so simple, so self-explanatory. So that's really drove my goal to create my own startup. So, I think another thing is when I was working on those large programs, and I used to be called like a savant. Everyone thought I was an application savant. I can smell it, I can taste that, and I truly can see different smell and the taste, texture. And when I look at those applications, so over my whole career, I probably came through more than 1,000 applications assessed during my architectural selection kind of process, and really knowing a lot of things in and out. And one of the biggest gaps I always found is the content management, document management. You could have beautiful modules, manufacturing, supply chain, financial services, and all the CRM. But when it comes to content, document management, contract management, it really applies to every organization. And that's where the biggest gap is. So when we went into the Shelter Zone, that venture, and that's really what we want to focus on, is to really fill in that major market gap.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Since obviously, like there's a lot of people out there on the internet who say like, oh, you have to wait, you have to start as soon as you're out of university, your own startup or start after high school. Do you think because you've worked for so many years, is that was actually a benefit to you starting a startup because you know how companies function, you've kind of seen what works and what doesn't. So what are your opinion on that?
I definitely think, like myself, a senior startup is definitely much more valuable than a young startup. So I can give you the reason. One of the things I actually realized, it's not a lot of times it's not about your talent, not about your what you can do, what you know. And all these obviously all very good for you, right? You be very talented, be extremely focused in all this. But the biggest thing is actually mental strength. So it's a whole startup to me is a mental game. You have to really be strong mentally, and you be able to just so persist, like a persistent, really, it's like a tennis player. So why people can become world champion, why some people play so well, there's so much talent, but they cannot win. It's because the mental strength is not there. So for me, anyone actually right fresh from university, of course they can become very successful. We have plenty of those examples, but they do need to have that type of quality, and then also have the right guidance from advisors or other people. But as for myself and my partner, because we started right after we already had a very successful career, and even though those careers are more in the enterprise or corporate space or maybe other type of business, but we are already equipped with that mental toughness. And that mental toughness, I think, is the reason we're still around now after 5 years. Because the first 3 years, you probably already burn out. You have this the stress every day, right? From the fundraising to make the product work, the adoption happen, manage the whole team, and then it's just the whole dynamics of running a startup. It's a very, very tough job, but you have to have that mental readiness for it.
I totally agree with you. You know, I had to start up back in the past too, and it's like if you are not mentally ready for it,
Yeah.
don't do it, right? Because working a job is way easier, like
Oh,
infinitely
no
easier
comparison. No
than,
comparison. Yeah, exactly.
you know,
But
you don't need to worry about, you know, like making sure your company has enough money, that you have enough to eat, and that your employees get paid, right? It's like w way less headache.
exactly. And also you have dealing with so many vendors, you're having so many partners, and then everyone, the HR, financial, legal, everything, you truly have to get involved in every corner of your company and also making sure you have enough money to pay, like the burn rate is always high. And then how you actually make sure every month you can pay your bill on time, and then you can manage the whole team, inspire them every day to do a good job. It is a really hard job.
So I do want to ask you, how do you manage like burnout? Because that's so common with startups. Like, what strategies do you put in place to keep you from reaching that state?
I actually, to share my secret, I take a 5 minute nap every afternoon. I don't know why. I just only need at least 5 minutes because I can't even sleep longer than 5 minutes. 5 minutes like just a clock. I just wake up myself, but I need that dose. It's almost like you drink just one shot, and you need that 5 minute dose. And at one, I get up really early, so because we operate globally. Sometimes like at 2 o'clock, I need to check email. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It's a very interrupted sleep. But then I get like a 2 hour sleep, really nice. Okay, I get up now. And then start my days, meeting after meeting, and have to do a lot of things. And then in the afternoon, I always will give myself that 5 minutes. So once I sleep 5 minutes, and I can work all the way to midnight. And I don't know why, I just have that ability. And a lot of people think this is crazy how you can do that. And also I can switch tasks like within half an hour. I can do 10 very complex tasks and then no problem. It's like so easy for me. It's not a problem. But what actually also what surprised myself is I just can keep working without feeling tired. I don't know why. I kind of almost feel like transforming into some other type of person. Yeah.
Yeah, you're an alien, you know?
I don't know how I do that, but that nap is just so good. Yeah. And then now I start probably should implementing 2 naps, like 5 minutes midday, 5 minutes in the evening. And I can actually even work even longer.
That's great. Yeah,
Mm.
everyone has their unique strategies. Like for me, it's like I have to physically work out, right? For me, it's like I get tired, I don't feel good, I feel kind of sick when I don't. So for me, I have
Yeah.
to go to the gym, I have to work out. Then it's like now I can get to work again.
Another thing I think really helped is living in country. So I used to live in New York, and also before New York, I was living in Melbourne, so all big cities, right? So in back in Australia, I realized I needed some country kind of thing. So bought a farm, and then every weekend when I went there, I just feel I could work so much more. So 2 years ago, we moved to Florida, and really now in a country setting, and it's just beautiful, so peaceful, and I can just go for a walk and think about all the creativity. It just comes up so naturally. So I feel like living in a area giving you no interruption, and you truly can focus on what you need to do, enjoy the surrounding. It's also another thing I really enjoy to do. Mm.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I used to live in like Toronto, the big city, and I actually moved out and I'm kind of like I have a backyard, you know, I have a deck, I can put a pool, you know, there's a lot more stuff you can do versus living in like a condo or in the big city, right?
Exactly.
So specifically, you know, being an entrepreneur, you know, you're a woman. What challenges do you think there is to actually, you know, become a female entrepreneur? Why do you think a lot of women don't actually choose to become entrepreneurs?
I actually feel it came very naturally to me because I worked in a industry very much male dominated. So when I was a lead architect and manage a lot of programs, and majority people report to me were all male, and they could be even 10 years younger, sorry, older, or even 20 years older. And I never really felt any kind of uncertainty or feel insecure. I always feel very confident. And because I think it's a very equal world. And if you can lead, if you actually have good ideas, have good talent, and as long as you treat people very well, and everyone looks up to you. So that experience, being in that kind of a leadership role, managing like a billions of dollars of those programs, and a lot of them actually really high value, hundreds of millions to tens of billions. And I was able to manage those very large programs, and give me a lot of confidence. I should be able to do my own startup. And also another thing is very interesting. I think the starting point is really different from how myself and my partner saw our startup versus probably a young like a graduate saw the startup. So we always like went in as a view, we would want to become a unicorn. We want to become a multi-billion-dollar company. And never one stage we kind of were thought about, oh, we want to exit at a 50 million, 100 million, because it's just not kind of really would interest us, because we went in already have both of us have very established and career, and to us money is only something like maybe a just show the scope of what we can do to test our own limit, rather than it's something we will truly want to pursue. So with that in mind, and the whole the basis, where we start is a very different thing, because we want to go in is truly to solve major problems, try to really help the world and transform, right? But in a very innovative and a subtle way. And we're not going to disrupt business. We're giving people something to use without changing their workflow. And it's just so simple, and no change management required. So with all those kind of strategy in place, and we just want to execute one after another, and making sure we're on the right path. So that to me, it just comes very naturally. It doesn't really bother me. I'm a female, I'm a male, I'm whatever, kind of variety you think about. So it's just as long as you focus on the job, and even our team, our investors, I think they all pretty convinced, I can lead a team.
Yeah, that's exactly the right attitude, right? It's like, yes, I have these limitations or whatever, but I'm not going to let that stop me from, becoming successful or doing my job, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, you mentioned a particularly interesting point, which, you said like people who just come out of grad school are looking to cash out early. I think that's also indicative of, how much money they have, right? It's like you might have, like 20 or 30 years of earnings you have, you're kind of comfortable financially, where it's like, yeah, it's like cashing out for 50, what's the point? It's not going to improve my life. Versus someone who's like, just out of grad school or university, they're like, well, I've been eating, ramen noodles in a dorm room. I'd love, to cash out early, right? So yeah, that's a great place to be.
Yeah, I know, and also it's a such a like a really brave thing for us to do as well, because when you're at a stage of the life so comfortable, and then really you can just take early retirement, and probably don't really need to go through so much trouble, and so stressed, and so kind of charged up every day. But then you think, what's the point to have such early retirement? You still have so much you can contribute. And then, but over the years, like 5 years, I think between myself and my partner, we already sold five of our houses, all went into the business. But we were lucky enough; we had the asset to be able to do that. But it is a big sacrifice on our end, So you do have to be prepared to chip in with your own money.
Of course, right? With every startup. But yeah, that's amazing, right? That, instead of going on early retirement, you're like, hey, let's get back into it. But I think my mentality is kind of like, if I retire, what am I gonna do? right? You can only go
Yeah.
visit so many beaches, go to so many places where you're like, I'm kind of bored now. I need to work on something, right? You know what I mean?
I know. And also the scope we actually experience is just truly amazing. So like I say, every day, right, we're meeting people all over the world and all world leaders, very well known companies, all the companies, big boss, they come to meet us and then all discuss the partnership. It's really that A-list people you just meet every day and it's never short of people talking to us. And then you travel to different conferences. So we just came back from, say, Lisbon from the Web Summit. We went to Viva Tech in France. We went to Geneva. And, it's just like so full on. But you feel like you truly seeing the global scale and you know what's going on and you know how companies react to our technology and you know they really like hungry for this type of innovation. So that actually make us truly feel very rewarded, even say not in the financial sense yet, but at least you truly feel you are doing something meaningful.
Yeah, I think that's what's motivating more than ever when you see actually people
Mm.
using your product and you're like changing the world in a direction, right? That make fulfills you, right? Because
Yeah.
because I assume your primary goal is not money because you already have money. So it's like, hey, I'm doing this because I actually want to improve the world.
Yeah, you just feel up to me, I love to think I can leave some legacy in the world. And another thing is so not say trying to be not modest. I've always know I'm very talented. So when you have so much talent, and if you don't really put yourself into the right place and be able to change something like not very good, and you just feel why you waste so much talent. It's actually to me, it's not good. So yeah, I really want to leverage the intelligence I have, the determination and all this kind of quality, and to do something can benefit other people.
I love to hear that, like I think a lot of people's potential are actually wasted, and it's glad to see that you're actually like, hey, I want to do something about it. Well, even I have to work myself. Like, oh, take only 5-minute naps, I'll do it,
I know it's 724 almost, 365 days. If it's 8 days a week, it would be 8 days a week.
Awesome. So I'll give you towards the end. Is your company currently like looking for investors, any like developers to hire, anyone? What do you currently need?
Yeah, it's actually both. So we are running a pre-B round. So we're planning to open up the Series B probably about July or August this year. So in between, so we closed the round A start of last year, and we've needed the funds to fuel such a high growth because it's really our products already and launched multiple products now. And if we actually open the floodgates because every now and then you need to adjust the product a little bit. But once we open up, it's just the people coming in is really very amazing. So we want to make sure we have the continuous growth. We're not going to slow down. And one is obviously we want to acquire the market as soon as possible. So that there is an investment opportunity available, and we'll get very good terms and the discounts when it converts into Series B preferred stock. The other thing is we are on the recruitment kind of that growth spur and looking for backend developers, especially like a Golang and very, very senior Golang. We don't really recruit anyone in the middle or lower tier because our team is truly so high end because middle kind of layer people come in, they really don't feel very comfortable because everyone's so high end and you really have to be already very experienced and it's kind of top-notch engineers. And those people truly do so well in our environment because it's an innovation you hardly ever seen outside. So we're looking for two of those people. And yeah, there are several other roles like a salespeople, good sales, senior sales, that's also required.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, finding a very experienced Golang engineers is not an easy thing.
Yeah, I know, not as easy as it is. exactly.
No, like in my team that I work on, we use Golang and it's tough. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I know. We actually changed everything into Golang, and it's like a decision we consciously made, and it's just really high performing, and we do believe it's the right move.
Yeah, it's a very high performance language.
Yeah,
That's definitely the direction you want to go in for something like
yeah,
this.
mm, yes.
All right, now to wrap this up, let us know how we can get in touch with you, how anyone who's listening, can reach out if they want to invest, get involved, or apply.
Yeah, so you can just go to shelterzoom.com and our website. So it's a shelter is like the roof or security shelter, and Zoom is like the Zoom meeting, ZOOM. So shelterzoom in one word.com, and then you can go to contact us. So if you want to invest, just select the investor section. If you want to go to sales, or you can email us, say sales at shelterzoom.com, or for general information, just say info@shelterzoom.com. So you can follow us on, all the social media channels, of course.
Yeah, I'll get the links from you after the show, and then we can put them in the description so that way they can click directly. Thank you so
Great.
much for coming
Yeah.
on. This was a great conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I had fun. Very
Uh,
relaxed, actually. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time and an invitation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye.